Welcome to Brawlhalla!
Hello everybody, and welcome to another training room tutorial video. I'm Raidhyn from Blue Mammoth Games, and today we're going to be talking about the bow. So the bow is a very interesting weapon in the fact that, unlike what you might originally expect, it does have short range. We don't have any true projectiles in this game. However, the bow is an absolutely fantastic weapon at creating pressure, and also has some incredible priority for the attacks that it does have. So let's go over each move individually and talk about all of their uses. To start off, we're going to do Neutral Light. Unlike other Neutral Lights in the game, the Neutral Light on the bow is an anti-air attack that also hits stacked. So this move is, you know, it's not going to hit in front of you very well, but if the opponent is right on top of you or in the air, that is when you're going to be able to go ahead and use this to create some pressure. So just know that you can use this as an anti-air attack, and it does have its uses there, but you're not going to be using it in a lot of strings or combos like you might be using neutrals in other scenarios. Alright, let's talk about the side light next. The side light is interesting because it is this double hitting attack that puts players into this perfect position to be followed up with the down light. So side light is going to hit them forward and then put them in a position for a down light string follow-up. Now while you can dodge out of this string and it does break at later health levels, because of the fact that at later health levels it hits the opponent pretty far away, you can still follow up the pressure by using chase dodges to continue on trying to, you know, get that knockout onto your opponent and, you know, maybe mixing in some signatures here and there. So just know that side light is really good at earlier health levels, but later on side light is going to knock people off the stage. You want to be careful about using this when you're completely stacked because, you know, if they're a little bit behind you, it's going to miss. So, you know, the character does need to be in front of you with who you're trying to hit and attack. So just keep that in mind. Next up, we have Downlight. Downlight has some of the best reach in the game. It hits almost across this entire platform distance, which is just ridiculously good. So this move is really great if somebody is trying to space you out and you want to close that distance quickly. And it is also your true combo starter. So after Downlight, you can combo into a neutral air. You can combo into a side air at certain distances, which, you know, can put people into the edgeguard scenario. And with some characters, you can also combo straight into signatures. So on Koji, for example, Downlight does combo into neutral air, which is really cool, just because it puts him in this straight up position, which you can then follow with, you know, more air attacks. So just know that Downlight is not only a really good distance tool, but it's also your combo starter, which is just, you know, one of the unique things about the bow that you'll be able to pick up the more that you play it, and just kind of get into this rhythm of starting off your combos with Downlight so that you can carry on the pressure. Alright, so that covers our grounded moves. Let's talk about the air moves next. Let's talk about side air first. So side air is interesting. It's kind of like Qatar side air in the fact that it's going to hit opponents at this downward angle. And while it's not always the best option for approaching, because of the speed in which it comes out, you can usually get a side air off at close range in an amount of time that your opponent may not be expecting. So long as you're close enough to land this, because of its speed, it's got really good priority. So just know that side air does hit the opponent diagonally downward. It's really good in edgeguard scenarios, while not being, you know, quite as useful as other side airs as a you know, jumping and spacing tool like you might see on Spear or Qatars or anything like that. It is quite good for putting opponents into an edgeguard situation. Alright, next up we're going to talk about down air. So down air is interesting because you actually get extra hitboxes if it hits the ground. As you can see here, when we hit the ground here, there's actually the splash effect. And if you know, hit with the edge of the splash, it's actually going to connect. Now you can hit straight with the arrow portion as well, and this is actually one of the best ways to approach on bow, just because of the fact that it comes out so quickly and you're hitting at this diagonal angle. It's very difficult for opponents to punish people who are coming in this way, and it also makes a really effective edgeguard tool as well. So down air is just an awesome tool on the bow, getting used to using it at different heights and different ranges, you know, hitting people who are on the ground with it, hitting people as you're, you know, coming down in the air, or even after different combos. The down air on bow is just really good for continuing pressure when they're at that angle. And, you know, getting used to using this as an approaching method is also pretty solid as well. All right, next up we're going to talk about neutral air. Neutral air is one of my favorite moves on the bow just because of the fact that it hits your opponent straight up, which is pretty unique compared to a lot of weapons in the game where you're going to get an angle on these neutral air hits. And because of this, you can kind of just keep chaining these together to get your juggle combos going. It's got pretty low cooldown, it starts up pretty fast, and it also has a really good amount of priority. You can hit a lot of you can counter directly a lot of moves with this attack. So getting used to using this in different situations, you can see it's got some pretty generous horizontal hitboxes as well. So neutral air is definitely a very strong tool for the bow when you're in the air. Alright, so now that we've talked about all of the air moves, all of the light air moves, let's talk about ground pound and recovery. So the bow ground pound to start off is interesting because it's one of the slowest moving ground pounds in the game. It's pretty easy to dodge out of, so using this at long distances is probably not the best idea. It doesn't have very wide hitboxes the way some of the other ground pounds in the game have. So this move is a little bit harder to miss. However, if you land it, it has probably the best force out of all the ground pounds in the game. It does a huge amount of knockback, and you can get some really, really slick early KOs with this if you're using it properly. So one of the best ways to do this is, you know, once you get somebody off the edge, is to try and hit them with it quickly towards the beginning of the move. And if Thatch would stop jumping under me, I might be able to do this. Let's see if we can get him to cooperate with us for just a second. Like I said, this one is a little bit harder to land than other ground pounds, but it is really awesome when it does land just because of the amount of force that you get off of it. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of comments below talking about how the dev can't even land a ground pound, but that's okay. Oh, almost had it. Come on now. These really cool combos I've got going. Come on, Thatch, help me out here, man. Oh, there we go. All right, Thatch is gone. So just know that ground pound, it's a little bit harder to hit or to land than other ground pounds, but it just has awesome force. And if you hit somebody on the ground into the platform with it, it pretty much puts them at, because it bounces them straight upwards again instead of at a diagonal like many other attacks, it's really good to follow up into that neutral air so that you can just continue to keep the pressure going. Alright, so let's talk about recovery next. Recovery on the bow is kind of similar to Katar's recovery in the fact that it has really good priority and hits at this angle. Where you're going to be knocking them in a diagonal direction. So let's see if we can't just get Thatch knocked up here, and then, yep, here we go. It actually turns them into an arrow, which I still love the animation for this. It's really good, too, especially if you're being edge-guarded. It does hit around corners pretty generously, which is really nice. It basically means that your recovery options on the bow are going to be a little bit stronger than other weapons, especially if somebody just likes to kind of sit here in this edge guard zone and edge guard you. This recovery is just really good at countering different moves and coming in at this angle that's going to make it a really strong edge guarding option, and or not so much edge guarding, but a really strong recovery option for when you're being edge guarded. All right, so that pretty much covers all of the moves on the bow. Just know that when you're playing with this weapon, despite it being a bow, I really do feel like this weapon is best used when played aggressively, just because of the fact that it has so many great strings and it can counter so many moves directly instead of having to wait for, trying to get in onto the opponent during the recovery time. You can, just go in and straight up counter people mid-move because of how awesome the hitboxes are on this. So if you're picking up a bow character, maybe you think Koji is really cool or Ember's your jam, whichever one it is that you think is really awesome, do definitely, put in the time to learn the bow. It's got some great tools. They're just a little bit different from the other weapons in the game. So definitely take the time to figure out all these intricacies, go out and have some fun. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really enjoying making all of these training room tutorial videos and just kind of talking about the ins and outs of all the different weapons. If there is something non-weapon related that you would like to see a guide on, just let me know in the comments below. I'm going to be, watching the comments on these videos religiously just so I can get an idea of what you, our glorious community, is looking for in in different tutorials and the like. So if you guys have suggestions or ideas, just let me know, and I'm gonna go head out and make the next video now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.